Here we go. Let's go over, we got some questions. Tick, 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 tick. People are typing away, typing away, typing away. Question number 1 from Joanna in KL. Okay, Joanna KL says, is it up yet? Here it is. Joanna KL. Why is it bad to be influenced by the crowd? Okay. Generally speaking, like what I'm saying, it's not, being influenced by an atmosphere and crowd doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Yeah, it's good. Being influenced by a crowd is not always a bad thing, right? Because you can feel a moment better, right? But my main point is that can't be everything. That's the main point. Like being influenced by the crowd, you're only there because you don't understand anything else, right? We read that verse is, people are ruined because of a lack of understanding. That's from Hosea chapter 4, verse 14, right? And what I'm saying is, a lot of people are just influenced by the crowd and they just kind of go with the flow of the crowd. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, like even when it comes to choosing your major, some people just choose the major that everyone else is getting. Or you choose the same major as your best friend. Or you choose the major that your parents want. Or you choose a major that makes the most money, right? It's not really a real decision that you're making, right? Don't just follow the crowd or the atmosphere. And like I said, atmosphere and crowd doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's only bad when it's the only thing. Is when it's the only thing, okay? Thank you, Joanna in KL. Let's move over to Sarah in Penang. Okay, Sarah in Penang says, my friend asked me to help her with something and I did it although I was not willing because it seems like the right thing to do as a loyal friend. Okay, loyalty we're talking about, okay? Is there a limit to how loyal we should be to our friends? Okay, so that has to do with the second part we talked about with Thomas. What are we learning, right? It's loyalty until certainty. Loyalty until certainty. Right? So there's a lot of things that we don't know about our friends. It doesn't mean that every time your friend does something bad to you that, oh no, now I'm certain this is not a good person. No, it's not like that. Because everyone has their pros and cons, right? Everyone has good characteristics, everyone has bad characteristics, right? You're loyal until you are sure, right? Like you've learned enough and you're close enough. Right? Of course, there's some things that are very toxic. Of course, you want to stay away from those things if it's really, really extreme and bad and you're getting negatively affected, like it's too much that it's affecting your life, right? Your stress and everything else. But in most cases, we have friends, and the loyalty is until what? Loyalty is until you are certain. Like this person is going to be your best friend or just a friend. But if anything else, the one thing I do want to tell you is, you helping them even though you're not willing to is actually what makes you a good friend. And you're like, what? No, Sarah, I'm going to tell you this. That was a very big thing you did. Why? Because if people only did things because they felt like it or they're willing to, nothing would happen in this world. You know how many friendships and how many marriages would break up because you only do it because you feel it or you're only willing at that time? When we learn about love, one of the biggest characteristics of love is love perseveres through the difficult times. And that's why when you get married, the wedding vows is through good and bad times, through death, through good times and bad times, death do us part. Why? Because when there is real love, even when I don't feel like it, but because I love them, I don't feel like it, but because I love them, I'm going to do it for them, right? And that's one of the big life lessons we learn is if we only learn about doing things when we feel like it, it doesn't mean it's fake. It's just that sometimes you don't feel like it. Why? Because you're tired. Sometimes you don't feel like it, and that's okay. But what makes us bigger friends is when they sacrifice. And that's something that we need to learn. And I think, Sarah, that's something that it's a good thing that you did. And I really hope that you continue to do these things. Of course, not beyond as in like you're going to skip work or you're going to, or you're going to lose your job or whatever like that, right? But, from situation to situation, you obviously could do it, but you just didn't feel like it. You weren't willing to, but you did, right? And I think that's very admirable. It's a good trait. It's a good friend, okay? James in KL. James in Kuala Lumpur. And James says, my boss is always giving me the same type of projects because I've built a reputation in that area. Cool. Oh, why am I drinking this? Oh. Because of that, I'm unable to explore and try out other things. What should I do? All right, James. When it comes to work, I do think there is a good thing about reputation. And a good thing is, if you keep getting the same types of work, you can become like an absolute expert in that area, which is great. Like, I'm gonna tell you one thing, James, this might seem a little bit counterintuitive. Like, oh, I'm gonna try other things. I'll tell you, once you become an expert in one thing, you're able to do other things much better with the same mentality and attitude. Like, if I were you, I would try to just become an expert in that one thing more than anyone else. More than anyone else, become an expert. Once you become an expert, then you gain a reputation of being that good. And when you become even better, like expert level like that, then people start to respect you in other areas also. So I do think it's good for you to, if you have a reputation in that area, don't necessarily think of it as a bad thing, right? Don't only choose to see what you want, like, oh, if I keep doing this and I can't do this and I can't explore other areas, right? My thing is, if it was myself, I would try to become expert in that area, like crazy expert. And from that point, when you make a real reputation like you are the expert, then from that, people begin to respect you in other areas. Let me give you an example. Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo's only good at soccer. Only. Right? That's the main thing he does. But if he goes out with a clothing line and he's dressed in a clothing line, people respect him for clothing too. Why? Because he's so good at soccer that they respect him in other areas also. You know, elite respects elite. Once you hit that level, other elites begin to respect in that same way, and you'll actually have more ability to do other things. Okay? Thank you, James and KL. Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Let's go to Mary Grace Arbasto. All right, in the Philippines. Okay, is a lack of understanding close to being ignorant? No, because understanding is a little bit different. Because to get to it's close, but it's not exactly being ignorant. Because understanding requires knowledge first. But you could still have knowledge and not understand. But you need knowledge to get to understanding. Right? So even if it's between me and my friends, or if I meet someone for the first time, when we talk with each other, we're just gaining knowledge of each other as we talk with each other, right? But even as I'm gaining knowledge, and I know this person, I know more things about them, it doesn't mean I understand them, right? Then I need more experiences with them. And as I experience and I go through different situations, I begin to understand them better instead of just knowing who they are. Ignorant is having no information at all, right? And I just said, oh, look at you, you're just an angry person, but I'm ignorant. That's not nothing to do with understanding. That's just straight up ignorant. You know nothing about them, but yet you're saying that they're this, right? But it is connected because you cannot understand without information, without knowledge. Right? So it goes from ignorance, then you gain knowledge. From knowledge, you gain understanding. And from understanding, you gain wisdom. Right? So it is connected, but they're not the same thing. Like you said, it's close. And that's true. It is close to it. But you need knowledge before you get to understanding. All right. Good question, Mary. Grace Arbasto from the Philippines. Let's go to Diane. Diane, the Philippines. How's it going? All right. How to deal with negative and influential people around you. Like, for example, in a job, there are professional bullies, and you can't really jump from one job to another as easily as you want to. So how do you deal with negative and influential people around you? So you said you can't move around, for example, in a job, okay? You can't jump from one job to another, okay? But there's one thing you can do in a job is you can move from team to team, or you can move from one department to another department. So there's one option you can do, right? I know there's people that you can go ask as one of the administrative assistants, administrative people, and they say, are there any other job openings in the company? Like, because people usually like to keep people inside the company. You can ask either to go to another department, or you can even move to another team, right? You can do it in another way. Or there's one option. Another option is you can confront the bully, which, you know, in a lot of cases, if they're a bully, it's probably not going to work out very well. But it's good to. The one thing I do think that the reason why bullies are able to do a lot of things is because people enable them to. How they enable people to become bullies is because when they get bullied, they say nothing about it. Like they're like, hey, stop it, man. Like, you know, I don't appreciate when you do this. But when people just keep taking it, then the bullies feel like they can do it more and more. So it is something that is on both sides. In the relationship, like for instance, when you meet someone for the first time in a relationship, you guys kind of draw boundaries of what you can do. You do. So, you know, if I meet someone for the first time and I'm like, hey, I put my arm around them, they're like, okay. that means there's a boundary that's drawn. Oh, I can't do this. They're uncomfortable with this. Yeah, and that's something that in the beginning of the relationship, usually that's where boundaries are made, right? And you need to keep, you want to make boundaries in friendships or in your professional relationships. And if you can't do that, then, and it's just unbearable, you either talk to your boss or you need to find another job at another company, which, like you said, sometimes is not possible. And if that's the case, if you're someone who has a lot of faith, that's something I would pray about a lot. I say, God, this person is like this. I don't know why they're treating me like this. And, that's something that you should really pray about also, right? And that's something you should be doing anyways, like if you're someone of faith too, okay? So there's several options we can go to, and there's some that you might be comfortable with and some you're uncomfortable with. But if we don't take any option, then we're basically allowing the situation to continue. It's never going to change, okay? Thank you, Diane, in the Philippines. Let's go over to Tan. Tan in PJ says, my brother has been going to church for years, but there are times when he will ask questions in doubt. What can I do to make him believe? All right. During your life of faith, when you question and doubt, that's going to be normal for people who don't understand or who are getting deeper and learning more and more and more, right? And what can I do to make him believe? It does, just because you have a doubt in a certain moment doesn't really mean that they don't believe. Because even in my life too, sometimes you just go through a really hard time. You're like, oh God, why is this happening to me? It doesn't really mean I doubt, right? And it just means that I'm going through a really, really hard time. And it's kind of one of those signs where someone will pray for me, or I just need someone to talk to. And it's great that he can come to you to talk to him. But when it comes to faith, like two things that are absolutely important when it comes to, I would say three things that are really, really important. Number one is prayer. Make sure they're praying. Make sure you're praying for them too. Second is, remember, they need to understand. When people don't understand, they're just following the crowd. So your brother might have a relationship where it's just kind of following the crowd, and he's just been there his life, but he's never getting closer to God. And in that case, I would kind of maybe even ask him to start doing a cell group with you or doing Bible study, or you could tell them to join Saturdays at 1 p.m. All right, maybe, right? You can sign up your brother for that. But, maybe he just doesn't understand well. And the third thing is, he's just kind of asking for some emotional support or some support from his brother because he's just struggling with something right now. Yeah. So how can you make him believe more? Keys is prayer. He needs to learn the word more deeply. Right? He has to understand who Christ is, why he's Christ. What benefit is there from prayer? What benefit? There's so many an array of topics that we can learn from, right? And then the third thing I would say is fellowship. Like, he needs a good support group around him of good people of faith that can support him in all those situations. So those are the three things that I think that are very, very important for people to grow really well spiritually. Cool. That means we're getting into the last question of the day. Last question is from Genish Ko. Genish or Genish? Genish. Okay. How do I not feel stagnant in doing things sometimes? Okay. Stagnancy comes from what? Stagnancy comes when you're doing the same thing. Well, stagnant means you're in the same, right? It means you're in the same place. I talked about this about 2 or 3 weeks ago, is in your job or anything that you do in life, the way the human brain works is stagnancy means you're staying at the same point, right? Which means that if you stay at the same level in anything, just doing the same thing over and over again, you get bored of it, and then you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, and you don't want to do it anymore. The way people become more excited all the time is when they're constantly raising the level, right? And the best example I have is video games. Video games are amazing because those ones that addict everyone is you're building something, you're building a character, they move from level 1 to level 2 to level 5 to level 10. I get a sword, then I get I upgrade it to a great sword, and then I upgrade it to an epic sword, and then I upgrade it to like a marvelous epic sword. It keeps upgrading, and then I have more powers, and then I have laser beams, and you keep upgrading, right? And that's what makes games exciting. Games get exciting because you hit new levels, you go to a boss, and you're like, oh, it's so hard, and you fight, you finally beat the boss, and then the next level, and you start to get these new powers, right? And because people who are making games, they know the psychology of human beings, they do it in the perfect way where it hooks people into games. That right after the boss, you gain all these extra powers. You're like, whoa, I want to use them. Think about dramas and episodes, right? Like on Netflix. At the very end of the show, they stop it right at the word, like, whoa, what happened? Oh, what's going to happen next? And you have to watch the next episode, right? You have to watch the next episode, right? So I really hope that, you know, that's one part of staying away from stagnancy is you have to grow, keep growing higher and higher levels, right? And sometimes it means doing better in what you do, and sometimes it's trying something new, right? It might not be a new job, but it might mean pick up a hobby, pick up an instrument, pick up singing, pick up music, right? There's something that you can pick up as a hobby that kind of gets you going again. All right, so that was the last question of the day, and just to give a congratulations to our YouTube channel, we have now hit 802 subscribers right now. Thank you for your support. I hope everyone will click like on the click like for this video. You can make some comments and everything else, and I'll be sure to reply in those comments. Those of you who haven't subscribed yet, hit the bell. Go ahead and hit it for Espresso with Sky YouTube channel. And just to let you guys know, we'll be moving the Facebook to another platform in August. Okay. And I believe we've listened to the people's votes. We're going to change our name, I believe, to Taco Tuesday. Not taco like tacos you eat, like talk, like bubble talk. Talk-o, right? It'll be Taco Tuesdays, which is kind of really, really catchy. But we listened to what you guys wanted. We're going to vote for that. Thank you once again for helping us to reach 802 subscribers. We're going to keep pushing until we hit 1,000, then 10,000. Which I'm not sure when that's going to be, or 100,000, or a quadrillion, whatever it is. Everyone, have a wonderful day. I hope you guys enjoyed today's Lockdown Tuesday, and we will see you guys again next week. Or for those who come to Bubble Talk, we'll see you on Thursday, and for those for the Bible study on Saturday, we'll see you then at 1 p.m. Everyone, have a wonderful day, and we will see you later.